Welcome, listeners, to this special episode where we dive into the dynamic world of AI infrastructure investment. Today, I'll narrate a slide-based presentation that breaks down the current landscape, future projections, economic implications, key players, and investment considerations. Imagine you're at a high-stakes investor conference. I'll guide you through each slide as if we're flipping through the deck together. Let's start with Part 1, Introduction and Market State. Key Market Insights. Good morning, everyone. Our presentation today explores AI infrastructure investment opportunities. At the top, we highlight explosive growth. Projections show the global market reaching $758 billion by 2029, according to IDC data. That's fueled by widespread adoption. 78 to 88% of organizations are now using AI in at least one function, per McKinsey and Stanford reports. And spending is surging. Q2 2025 saw a 166% year-over-year increase to $82 billion. These numbers underscore AI's role as a transformative force, but will also address risks like high costs and potential bubbles. Key point summary: 4 critical investment considerations. Here we summarize 4 pivotal insights. First, rapid growth with uncertainty. While spending eyes $758 billion by 2029 at a 42% CAGR, escalating costs up to $7 trillion in global capex by 2030 raise overvaluation concerns. Second, productivity potential versus reality. AI could add 0.3 to 3.0% to annual growth and 1.5% to GDP by 2035, but many firms report initial losses and only moderate gains. Third, costs outpacing returns. Hyperscalers like AWS and Microsoft are committing over $300 to $400 billion in 2025, yet 80% of organizations see no earnings impact. Fourth, balanced case. Strong adoption, for example, 90% piloting AI, supports investment, but energy demands 165% power increase by 2030, and bubble risks, parallels to the dot-com, warrant caution. Current deployment and usage, Q2 2025 spending data. Turning to the now, AI infrastructure deployment is robust. In Q2 2025, global spending on compute and storage hardware hit $82 billion, up 166% from last year. Servers dominate at 98% of expenditures, with GPU-accelerated ones growing 207%. 88% of organizations use AI in at least one area, up from 78%, with larger firms, greater than $5 billion in revenue, at 47% enterprise-wide scaling. AI agents are experimenting in 62% of companies, focusing on IT and manufacturing, valued at $7.6 billion in 2025. This reflects a shift towards specialized hardware for training and inference. Active users and market: 1.7 to 1.8 billion global users. AI's reach is massive. Over 1.7 to 1.8 billion people globally have tried AI tools, with 500 to 600 million daily users. Awareness stands at a median 34%, hearing a lot about AI, but growth in lower-income countries is 4 times faster. Projections see over 1 billion users by 2026 and 378 million globally by end of 2025. This user base drives demand across sectors, from consumer apps to enterprise solutions. AI model market share: ChatGPT 61%, Copilot 14.1%, Gemini 13.4%, Perplexity 6.4%, Claude 3.8%. Now moving to Part 2, Future Projections. Growth projections: $758 billion by 2029, 42% CAGR. The future looks exponential. AI infrastructure spending is forecast to hit $758 billion by 2029, with accelerated servers at 94.3% and a 42% CAGR. Overall market to $223.45 billion by 2030, 30.4% CAGR. Regional leaders: US, 76% Q2 2025 share, 40.5% CAGR. China, 11.6%, 41.5% CAGR. Generative AI alone to $309.4 billion by 2031, with 96% of firms planning expansion. Infrastructure demands: Power plus 165%, $6.7 to $7 trillion capex. Scaling comes with demands: Data center power could rise 50% by 2027 and 165% by 2030, adding 13 to 20% annual IT capacity and requiring $6.7 to $7.9 trillion capex, $5.2 to $7.9 trillion for AI. Energy consumption to double to 945 terawatt hours with 156 gigawatt demand, 125 gigawatt incremental, and 24 to 44 million tons of carbon dioxide emissions annually. Workforce impact. 32% expect headcount decrease. AI reshapes jobs. 32% of organizations anticipate greater than equal to 3% headcount decrease by 2026, while 43% expect no change. This ties to automation in roles like manufacturing, up to 2 million jobs by 2026 per some estimates, but also creates opportunities in AI management. Part 3. Economic analysis. Productivity gains plus 1.5% GDP by 2035, 74 CFOs see improvements. AI drives efficiency, 64 report enhanced innovation, 74 of CFOs note gains, projections 1.5% GDP boost by 2035, up to 3.7% by 2075, with 0.3 to 3.0% annual growth. High performers achieve greater than equal to 5% EBIT via workflows, but manufacturing sees initial losses. Cost analysis, $371 billion hyperscaler capex, GPT-5 training around $1 billion, estimate $500 million to $1.2 billion, data centers 10 to 50 million for small ones, with over 20% digital budgets to AI.
ROI reality check. Only 39% see IBIT impact, 80% no earnings effect. Returns lag. 39% see greater than or equal to 5% IBIT, but 80% report no material impact. 74% CFOs see improvements, yet only 5% cut costs, 6% boost revenue. Talent gaps miss 40% potential. Risks like inaccuracy affect 51%. Part 4. Market leaders. Top cloud vendors. AWS 32%, Azure 22%, GCP 12%. Cloud powers AI. AWS 32% share, SageMaker, Azure 22%, ML deployment, GCP 12%, TensorFlow. Others, IBM Watson AI, Oracle OCI. Model provider share US November 2025. Use cases. ChatGPT, OpenAI 61 to 82%, general and coding. Copilot, Microsoft 4 to 14%, analysis. Gemini, Google 2 to 13%, multimodal. Perplexity, 6 to 11%, research. Claude, Anthropic 3 to 4%, business. Hardware leaders, NVIDIA 92% GPU share. NVIDIA holds 92 to 94% data center GPU share with hyperscalers 371 billion plus commitments signaling demand. Part 5. Investment decision. Slide 15. Supporting arguments. Real economic impact, 300 billion plus commitments. Pros, 90% piloting, 300 billion plus commitments, real profits, unlike the .com. AI as arms race, creating jobs. Renewables reduce carbon. Slide 16. Opposing arguments. Bubble risks, no ROI, energy constraints. Cons, 80% no ROI, 400 to 500 billion capex with less than 20% gains. 54% see bubble, S&P parallels 1999. Energy, $100 billion per year by 2027, CO2, 24 to 44 million tons. Investment framework. To conclude, weigh growth, 42% CAGR, against risks, bubble, sustainability. Prioritize scalable vendors like NVIDIA and AWS. Monitor regulations. AI offers transformation. Invest strategically. Thank you for joining this narration. For more, check sources below.